So, good morning, dear friends. Welcome to this live stream from Buddhist Insights from Empty Cloud Monastery. And I'm very happy to have Ayya Khemavamsi with us this morning for her morning teaching, all the way from Thailand, the evening in Thailand. So, Venerable Ayya Khemavamsi, thank you so much for joining us. And today, Ayya Khemavamsi is going to be speaking about Vedana, about feeling. And the title of this teaching is called The Root of Feelings. So I'd like to invite Ayya, if you'd like to say some words on this topic for us. Great thanks.
Thank you, Ayya Brahmavara. Good to see you all today from Thailand to wherever you are now. As the topic, right, the root of feelings, it's from the sutta called Phassa Mulaka Sutta. Now I post the link in the comment section for you all to, you feel free to read while I'm giving the talk. So at first, let's talk about feelings. Feelings is the topic or the subject that we should, reflect. We should learn and then to reflect, because we live with the feelings all the time, right? Feeling good, feeling bad, and just all the feelings. So it's better to learn the root of the feelings, so you can, you will know how to adjust or how to handle, how to respond to the feelings that occur, right? And this kind of topic actually relate to the 12 links of dependent origination, which is very, very good, subject that we all should learn, and then maybe one day discuss about it. So now I'm gonna read the sutta, so you all can read in the link that I post in the comment section. Rooted in contact is from the linked discourses, number 36.10. The Buddha said, these three feelings are born, rooted, sourced, and conditioned by contact, or phassa in Pali. What three? Pleasant, painful, and neutral feeling. Pleasant feeling arises dependent on a contact to be experienced as pleasant. With the cessation of that contact to be experienced as pleasant, the corresponding pleasant feeling ceases and stops. Painful feeling arises dependent on a contact to be experienced as painful. With the cessation of that contact to be experienced as painful, the corresponding painful feeling ceases and stops. Neutral feeling arises dependent on a contact to be experienced as neutral. With the cessation of that contact to be experienced as neutral, the corresponding neutral feeling ceases and stops. When you rub two sticks together, heat is generated and fire is produced. But when you part the sticks and lay them aside, any corresponding heat ceases and stops. In the same way, these three feelings are born, rooted, sourced, and conditioned by contact. The appropriate feeling arises dependent on the corresponding contact. When the corresponding contact ceases, the appropriate feeling ceases. And this is from the sutta called Phassa Mulaka Sutta, or rooted in contact. So now we learn that the feelings are conditioned by the contact. But what is the contact, right? In Pali, we use the word phassa. The contact is not just like, just two things, as the Buddha illustrate in the sutta, right? That it's just like when the two would rub together, then the fire is created, right? But for the contact, actually there are three main components. It is like a meeting. It is like a convergence of three factors: 6 internal sense bases, 6 internal external sense bases, and consciousness. In Pali, ayatana, the internal ayatana, external ayatana, and vinyana, or consciousness. The first factor is the 6 internal bases or sense faculties or sense spheres, just many translation, many words that used to interpret the word ayatana. But actually is the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The second factor is the 6 external sense bases or 6 external objects like visible objects, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental phenomena. So think of it as a pair. Eye with the visible objects, ear and sound, nose and scent or smell, tongue and taste or flavor, body and touch or tactile sensation, and then the last one, mind and mental phenomena or thoughts, ideas, or content of the mind. And the third and final factor is consciousness or vinyana, or as we know as knower. So in order to be able to form the contact, it has to have these three factors: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Is like the internal six internal sense bases, 6 external sense bases, and then consciousness. So as in the 12 link dependent origination, the Buddha said, Phassa Pacaya Vedana, right? Phassa Pacaya Vedana. So the feeling is dependent on contact. And the craving is dependent on feelings, but not just feeling, but feeling plus ignorance. So it's going to be like another topic. But what is important to point out in here is that, the word sense-based or sense sphere is not just about the organ, like the eyes, ear, but actually it involves the receptor, the nervous system around the organ as well, right? For instance, in order to have the clear visions relies on functional eyes, a well-functioning optic nerve, adequate light, a visible object, and consciousness to arise in that sense base. So with all these feelings arise, just as the Buddha illustrated that, just like two wood, like wooden stick that rub together, with all these three, then the feeling arise. But the feeling differ from what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste. For example, if you see a red rose, you may have a pleasant feeling. If you see like a dead cat lying on the floor, then you might have an unpleasant feeling. So feelings take root from contact, from phassa, and it differs from what you experience through the sense basis, right? I think it makes sense, right? I think you understand. For example, that are the example. And also, I would like to mention about the consciousness, because it's not just about the 6 sense bases, internal and external, but it's about how consciousness takes an important role in contact or in phassa. For example, suppose you hear someone gossiping about you and maybe your partner, but at that time you're trying to read something, or you're trying to, like watching someone passing by, but at that time you hear someone gossiping about you and your partner. So the attention is more likely to be, to be drawn from the sight to the sound, auditory, right? So if someone were to ask you, like, if you notice a person wearing a green shirt passing you by, and you might say like, oh, no, I cannot see, because even your eyes open, even the consciousness, even the nerve system is okay, but at that time the consciousness just like, is drawn to the ear to try to listen to, like, what are they talking about me, or something like that. Or another example is when you sleep, your ears may be fully, functional. However, you cannot hear the loud barking of the dog outside at night. Why? Because, while you sleep, your consciousness resides in the mind, dreaming, thinking about, dreaming, like, and wondering, and maybe, reflecting on, like, what you should do and what you should not do, something like that. Dreaming, but not in the ear sense based. So the point here is that it's not like you have eyes, ears, nose, body, and mind, and then you can feel everything at once. It's not like that. But it's about the consciousness, to come here and then perceive like the sight, here to hear the sound. So, the consciousness, or what we call the knower, just go to many sense bases. And the consciousness will go to where the stronger stimuli are. For instance, like now, when you're trying to listen to a Dhamma talk, but then maybe someone talking, loudly outside, yelling outside. So it requires more concentration for you to, shift the focus back to the talk, right? Because the consciousness tend to go to where the sound, the loud sound come from. So you may say like, oh, don't disturb me, I'm trying to focus here. No, it's not you. It's the nature of the consciousness that just go anywhere, but tend to go to where the strongest stimulation is. So now this is what is considered like to be useful for you to learn how to meditate, to practice mindfulness, so you know about the nature of the consciousness, that you just go anywhere to all these sense spaces, and you have the feelings because of the external sense spaces or external object. But if you practice meditation, and then you can shift the focus back to the present moment, you can pull the consciousness back to yourself. It's just like the monkey mind just go all over the place, but you try to, learn to, like, to tame the mind. Just like the mind, just like a monkey, or just like the dog, just to tame, to come here, focus here, something like that, to be in the present moment, something like that. So the word Phassa Paccaya Vedana. So now we know that the feelings take root from the contact, which there are like three factors: inner sense base, internal sense base, external sense base, and then consciousness. And when we know about it, when we learned about it, then we can, learn to adapt where the consciousness should be. For example, like when I have the pain, now I have a pain here, so that's why my mind is not that clear. When I have the pain, like too much pain here, or when you go to the hospital, and there's a nurse would like to like inject, right, the needle, something like that, to inject, to, like get the blood out of you. And in the past, I used this technique that, okay, they're gonna do to my left hand, Then I'm gonna take the consciousness to my to the foot on the right thumb of my right foot or something like that, to be like far away. Just try to, like move the feet, move the right foot, and then get the consciousness to go that way. So not focus on my left hand, something like that. Or as the Pra Ajahn, I think one of the Pra Ajahn, the revered monk in Thailand, Luang Pu, I don't know, I just forgot his name. He said, when he has too much pain in his body, maybe the operation or something like that, and people ask like, why you didn't even scream, why you didn't even, like say something like ouch or something like that, why you just keep silent and still. He said, oh, I put the consciousness up there in the roof, far away from me. So this is like how to train the mind, and how, like then you can shift the focus to something else. So this feeling that occur, the physical pain here on my left hand, is not gonna trouble me anymore because the consciousness is far away to my right foot or something like that. So this is like how we learn to live with the feeling. Yes. So this is from the first sutta, but actually I've got another sutta for you, but maybe we should discuss more about this topic, right? Ayya Brahmavara, what do you think?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Ayya, for this first sutta study, part one. It's really helpful to have this. The Buddha was so kind of scientific, wasn't he? The way he describes reality for us. And then we can reflect on, is this true for me? Is this my experience? And invariably we find, yeah, this is my experience. And so thank you so much. And it's like, to be able to sit, meditate, and sort of categorize what the mind is doing and which sense door is apparent to us at any particular time. It's just super helpful. Well, one thing I'm reflecting on as you're speaking, Ayya, is that, for a lot of people, when we sit and meditate, the predominant experience is often one of thinking, the mind that won't shut up, and the stream of thoughts that can really sort of catch our attention, and we can roll with those thoughts, and we sort of lose track of all the other experiences of Vedana, and particularly I would say like the body awareness. Could you say anything about that and like your experience, if you have that kind of experience of working with this almost like imbalance where the energy goes to the thinking more than, for me anyway, more than anything else? Do you have that experience? Could you say anything about that for us?
Thank you. About the thinking, and then, like for the consciousness, like to pull them back, right? Is it like the
Is that a good
expression?
thing to do? I mean, should we try to redirect the attention from thinking? How would you advise us to work with a very active mind when we're sitting to meditate?
For me, I can say just from my past experience, like for me, when I meditate, right, there's a lot of things going on inside because you close your eyes. So many things, you just happen to have a lot of thoughts and memories and feelings, right? But I've taught to, when the thought arises, then just recognize it, and then thought, and then get back to the breathing. At first, I start from the anapanasati, or the breathing technique, right? The breathe in and breathe out, and then focus on around here. So when the thought arises, and just like acknowledge it, thought, and then back to the breathing. Or maybe memory, back to the breathing. It's not that easy because sometimes we just caught in, like all the web of, like the thinking, like, oh, I happen to smell like food or something like that. Oh, maybe I should get this one. Oh, and this one, and then like just like the continuous like web of thinking, many things going on around here. But if you try to recognize it as just thinking, thought, and then get back, you just know that okay, this is just the thought, thinking. There's nothing wrong about it. It's normal to happen. But now get back. It's just like to shift from like wandering mind to get back to where you learn to meditate. Like for me, in the beginning, I used the anapanasati breathing technique. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Ayya. Some questions are coming in. So I think it's kind to go to the questions with a big welcome to everyone for joining us this morning. And Sud has a question, which is, let me just pop it on the screen for us. How does one shift consciousness? Is it the same as just shifting focus? Well, I think you've been talking about that for us, Ayya. But is there anything else you'd like to say to Sud about this question?
The consciousness here is the vinyana, right? The vinyana is just the know that go like to all the sense doors or sense base, right? But to shift consciousness is just like to shift consciousness from chakku vinyana, the eye, the consciousness that arises in the eyes, then you just shift the consciousness to be in the left foot or something like that. So maybe it's just the same thing as a shifting focus, right?
Right. Yeah. Thank you very much. And I just want to say I really appreciate your suggestions around the thinking mind. And it really is like in this sutta, isn't it, that the encouragement is to see, oh, this is thinking. This is the mind sense door, is predominant, is operating at this point. When the mind sense door is operating, there's a lot of thinking. Okay, there's no attention to seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Is thinking, but you could just label it that, thinking, and not get involved in the content of the thoughts. So thank you for that, because this is where we can run into difficulty, isn't it? We can get caught up in the story behind, what are we thinking about? Well, it doesn't matter. What matters is note thinking, be aware that there's thinking, and come back to maybe feeling in the body, which is often the advice, isn't it, for meditation? Let's come back to the body awareness, because it's a lot simpler, it's a lot more present, it's a lot more real in some sense, and to see what other sense doors are operating. We do have another question, but I just want to jump in with a question, because if that's okay, because I'm also like wondering, Ayya, if you have any advice or any sort of experience around other ways of meditating with Vedana. I've had sometimes the experience of being encouraged to, for instance, pay attention just to hearing. Let's really focus on hearing for this meditation period, or let's just focus on touch, or I've even been encouraged to consider taste. Okay, there's nothing in the mouth to taste at this point, but can you experience taste at this point? Just in the mouth that's empty of food or drink? There's something there, and so forth. So to have you any sense of, is there value in focusing on different aspects of Vedana for our contemplation? Kind of experientially practicing with these.
Thank you. I think the value in experience the feeling through like many sense doors, or just the value in experience vedana or practice to observe the vedana or in anywhere, any sense basis. I think it's important for us to be able to see the impermanent in in anywhere. Impermanent, the feeling like when you see this thing and oh, so beautiful, I like it, I like it. But then when that thing just, like maybe pass away and then the new thing come up, then oh no, I don't like it. So it just, the feeling is temporary, it's transient. It depends on the things outside. So when we learn about it, then we tend to, not cling on to the feelings that much. Like it just cease. Eventually it will stop. Even though it's the good feeling or it's the bad feeling, it's just something that always changing. Even though when you recognize the taste, the feeling of the delicious food, I love to do this. I love to practice this, like in the past, like, okay, when you see, oh, I like this, gonna be tasty, gonna be delicious. Okay, and then I try, and then when I chew, all the flavor just, like in your mouth, right? So happy. But then just try to observe, just try to recognize and see the flavor. Is it gonna last? No, it's not gonna last. Like from 100, maybe 90, 80, now 70. And it just, the happy feeling is not gonna last forever. Then and then you learn from the experience, from the feeling. Actually, there's one like the harsh lesson, but I don't practice, like for another ajahn, another teacher. He said like, when you like it so much, oh, that's so beautiful, just take out the food and then look and then eat again. Is it the same? I don't do that because I know that it's not gonna be the same, so I don't try that. But like when you experience this kind of feeling, then like every feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, it's just the same. It's impermanent, always changing. And it's not you or me, it's anatta, it's not self, because we cannot control. Just good feeling, just good, just stay. No, gonna change. Depends on many factors. Yeah. So it's the value in
Thank
observe
you
the
so
feeling.
much. Yeah, that's really helpful to, notice, when we pay attention to Vedana, any kind of feeling, the transient nature, how useless to get attached to this or that. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you very much, Ayya. The food practice, I might give that a go. Maybe not in public. Maybe just in private. We have another question here, Ayya, from, thank you, Hyeng Yu. I'll just show it to you. She says, how do we avoid forcing or applying too much effort to force our mind to calm down when agitated in restless thinking? Yeah, thank you. That's a really great question. Ayya.
Thank you. When you agitated or have a lot of things going on in your mind, I think it's to force the mind gonna make things worse, right? But maybe try to, for me, like for example, when you go in front of the classroom and then you have to give the speech, something like that, and you feel like nervous, or maybe a lot of things going on, maybe I'm afraid to fail this exam, I'm afraid to like do something is not good. But when you think so much, it's better, like in the past, like it's better, like not in the past, in the past, that the teacher always tell us to do that: breathe in and then breathe out, relax, relax, and then it is the way to calm the mind. It is one of the meditation, just to calm the mind when you feel agitated or have restless thinking. So it's actually to shift the consciousness is good, to shift the focus is good, but like when you train the mind, like the put it back, it's good, it's proper in one specific situation. But for the situation that you feel agitated or have the restless thinking, I think it's better not try to force the mind again, but try to just let go of the feeling of agitation. Just let go. Just know that now the agitated feeling, the unpleasant feeling arise. You just know, okay, and then let go. Use the anapanasati, the breathing and breathe out technique, and then try to calm the mind. I think that's the way that you should use in that situation. What do you think, Ayya Brahmawara?
That's really, yes, I couldn't add to that. Very sound advice, Aya, because absolutely, I mean, if we try and force ourselves, it's quite painful and difficult, isn't it? And we can find ourselves not really wanting to meditate because it's such a struggle, and it feels so difficult for us, mind fighting mind kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely, very gentle suggestions, so helpful. Thank you, Aya.
Another thing I'd like to add is that it's just like when you train, oh no, no, when you train, when you like bring up your child, when you raise your child, you have to use the technique like a push and pull. You have to know on your own, like, is it okay to like give the punishment, or maybe is this a time to like console and to give support? It's just the same to tame the mind. You have to know for yourself, like, okay, this is the time that you train the mind, get back here, conscious, like pull the consciousness back. But maybe that is proper in one situation, but for another situation, maybe just calm down, learn to let go. It's gonna pass. For example, like when you have like a really painful experience, for some people you can just like concentrate and see the feeling, the painful feeling, like it's not 100%, it's just like 90, 110, 80, 200. You can see that it works for some people, but it's not going to work for everyone. For some teachers said, if you do like that, for someone who just like first practitioner or something like that, like the beginner, gonna blow their mind, gonna be too much pain, gonna be too painful for you to handle that. So instead of concentrating on the level of the vedana that is changing all the time, maybe you just try to find the cause of the pain and try to cure the pain, not just to focus on the pain. You know what I mean? So that time you should use the Four Noble Truths. Now the suffering arise, the pain arise. What is the cause? Oh, this is the cause. What is the solution? Can I, like maybe cure myself, or do I have to go to the, see the doctor, something like that. So that time, maybe you should use the Four Noble Truths to handle the situation. So it depends on the situation. Something like that.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Aya. We currently don't have any more questions at the moment. And so I wonder if I could invite you maybe to feel very free to bring in the next sutta.
The next sutra, yes, the next sutra is called the thorn. It's actually translated by Sudaso Bhikkhu. I'm not sure this is the same Sudaso as Alpante or not. Maybe. This is called the thorn from Sudaso Bhikkhu. This is quite long, so I'm gonna, like you can. I already post the link so you
Yes.
all can read. But I'm just gonna summarize. In this sutta, the Buddha talked about the difference in between the educated disciple of the Blessed One and the uneducated disciple react to feelings. Like, actually I have to mention about the feelings. In a lot of sutta, the Buddha said there are 3 feelings, right? Pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. But for some sutra, the Buddha expounded the feelings into 5. Painful, a physical pain, or tukha vedana. What do you mean? What do you mean? Pain, like sorrow, sad, something like that, is the mental pain, right? Can I use this word, mental pain? Yeah. Thomanassa vedana, and then pleasure in physical, sukha vedana, pleasure, mental pleasure, somanassa vedana, and then neutral feeling. So it can divide into the physical and then mental, right? So there are 5. But in this sutta, the thorn, the Buddha said that for the uneducated disciple, uneducated commoner, when they encounter with the painful feeling, they tend to surrender to sorrow, to sadness, to lamentation, to confusion. Then the 2 feelings occurs to them, physical and mental pain, for the painful feeling. It's like a person pierced by a thorn. First, pierced by the thorn, just like in the body, physical, right? And then pierced again by a second thorn in the heart. So he feel the feelings of 2 thorns, physical pain and mental pain. Without wisdom, the aversion, the greed, wanting it to stop, and the rejection, the pushback against the painful feeling arise. So the inclination toward the aversion lies within and latent, concealed within that person. Moreover, when encountering painful sensation, this uneducated person seeks escape from sensual pleasure. This is normal for us, for everyone. When you face with a painful feeling, then you try to escape to sensual pleasures, right? Just like me, like in the past, just like everyone in the world. Like when you feel stressed, when you feel painful, you try to escape, feel distressed, maybe ice cream, or maybe stressed, maybe go to the movie, or you want to travel. You try to escape from painful reality, escape from the world, the life that you are living in now with sensual pleasure. But one day, like for me, when you try to seek all the sensual pleasure, then end up knowing that it's just the temporary relief. It's not the permanent relief from the pain, from the sorrow, from the suffering, from the sadness. So for me, in order to, I have to pass like many failure in life, many sorrow and sadness. But once I've learned to accept the truth, not to escape, not to live in denial or anything of that sort, accept the truth and face the reality, and then I learned to become more fulfilled in life, more happier in life, something like that. So this is just one example of one of the people, many people that try to escape from painful feeling to sensual pleasures, which is just temporary. And the more you try to seek sensual pleasure, the more you crave for more and more, right? It's just like unending cycle of wanting more, right? And then get back to the sutta. Also, when the uneducated disciple of the Buddha lack of clear comprehension of the origin of the feeling, cessation of the feeling because of the contact, right? The disadvantage or the liberation related to the feeling. So they have the the inclination, the compound ignorance toward nurture feelings. So to summarize, the aversion, greed, and ignorance build up inside the uneducated without even realizing it. And this cumulative process of unwholesome tendency is like a ticking time bomb, and one day gonna explode. Just like I've heard, and many people, nowadays, that they try to suppress, escape from reality and suppress the feeling. No, I'm okay, I'm all right, everything's fine, I'm not angry, I'm fine. So suppress the feeling, and then one day just explode into tears, into waves of anger, and maybe worse, the mental sickness, right? So this is the part of the uneducated disciple of the Blessed One. However, even though the educated disciple of the Noble One face the same thing, the three feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, but they face the feelings with wisdom. So when they know that feelings are just transient, are impermanent, so where they are encountered with the unpleasant feelings, no anger, because they know the truth. When they face with the pleasant feeling, no greed, I don't want anything more, because it's just the same, impermanent. Or maybe the neutral feeling, or maybe the feeling upekha vedana, in jhana, when you meditate, it's just the same, impermanent. So when they are not trapped in those feelings, in the aversion, greed, or ignorance, then that person is called, they are not trapped in birth, sickness, death, and lamentation, sorrow, and dissatisfaction. So this is the difference, the distinction between the response or the reaction of educated and uneducated disciple toward feeling, as explained by the Buddha. And this is good that we learn about this sutra, because now we know that, okay, now I've learned this sutra, so I try to be the educated disciple of the Buddha. When I encounter with the unpleasant feelings, that I know that, okay, be mindful, this is unpleasant feeling arise. It's arise because of the contact, right? As long as I'm alive, I still, have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The nervous system is still functional, and there's still a lot of things going on, and like the visible object or other six external sense base. And as long as I'm alive, so there's consciousness. It's inevitable to have feelings, but you have to learn how to live with pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings with wisdom, that everything is impermanent. Oh, you like this thing so much, I'm happy. Now you have to remind yourself that it's impermanent. Don't cling to it, because if you cling to it, then the cause of suffering. Or when you face with a painful feeling, oh, I don't want that, just know that it's temporary. It's gonna end soon. You have to find the cause of the pain, you have to find the cause of the suffering, and then use the Four Noble Truths to solve the problems. Or when you face with the neutral feeling, with the maybe the neutral feeling in the jhana, when you meditate, oh, so good, I like to be in the jhana, but you have to learn that it's impermanent as well. So if we learn from this sutra, and if we follow the the words of the Buddha, then we can live with all these things in the world that, just feelings. It comes and goes. Yes, that's it.
Sadhu. Thank you so much, Ayya. It's such a helpful sutta, this one also, isn't it? And the two together what a rich offering for this morning. It's very clear then for us, isn't it? The cause of our suffering is in the mental realm, and we have the agency, we have the ability to choose then whether we suffer or not. And that in the physical realm, it's not really an option. There's just the karma, there's just the cause and effect, right? Unfolding. And coming back to the first sutta with the simile of the two fire sticks coming together, it's just so helpful, right? When I'm struggling with pain, well, it's just because these two things have come together. There is contact, there is feeling. It's this arises due to that. And so this sense of the impersonal nature of phenomena and how we suffer when we have the sense of self and ownership and this is happening to me, why me, and so forth. And these suttas give us the window, the opportunity, right, to step away from the sense of me and mine and just to recognize this is not personal. This is karma. This is cause and effect. This is dependent origination in action here. So it's really beautiful, isn't it, to come back to these teachings and to be able to really, how to say, like to see clearly, and with this investigation of Dhamma, this attitude of investigation, to be able to witness rather than be a victim or be embroiled or immersed in experience. No, we don't want to do that. We want to be able to witness, and to then we can learn, right, from all of these experiences. Nothing then is a problem for us. How wonderful is that? Even when there's difficulties, we have the way to kind of the ability to work with the difficulties in a skillful way, and for liberation, for freedom. Ayya, we have some questions and some comments also. Let me share the comment from Kit with you. Thank you, Kit. Kit says, absolutely. Personally, so much of my anxiety is repressed anger. It's been a hard but very useful thing to learn through practice. So as you were saying, Ayya, about how we can repress, push down and pretend that painful, difficult feelings are not present, and then eventually they're going to come and kind of, like you said, kind of erupt. We can't work in that way. It doesn't help. So yeah, the meditation, the practice, enabling us to work through all these painful experiences. And Hai Eng again has a question for us. Thank you, Hai Eng. Here we go. It's how do we avoid clinging to happiness or sorrow apart from noting anicca? So other ways of considering how we can let go, Ayya.
This is very interesting question, very hard one as well. Now that thing that just come up in the mind here is one of the sutra. I cannot remember the name, but I think it's in the same book. It's in the linked discourse on feelings. The Buddha said, for the three feelings, we should perceive the feeling as, for example, the first one, the pleasant feeling, we should see it as dukkha. Dukkha is, for English translation, is suffering, right? But for, like when we learn Pali, dukkha is like, it cannot endure in that moment for a long time. It's gonna change. So I don't know I'm gonna answer this question or not, but for the pleasant feeling, you just realize dukkha, that is gonna change. It cannot endure in this moment. For example, when you watch a comedy a comedy show, and when you laugh, that's so funny, and when you laugh a lot, that's hurt, right? Hurt in the stomach, right? And then people say like, don't stop laughing. keep on laughing. Then now you know that even the pleasant feeling is dukkha, because you cannot keep that state forever. You cannot laugh for your whole life. You're gonna stop one day, maybe soon, because hurt the stomach, something like that, hurt the muscle here, right? So you should perceive the pleasant feeling as dukkha. And also, we should perceive painful feeling as impermanent, anicca. It's gonna change. And we should no. We should perceive the painful feeling as a dart, as an arrow. That when it struck, then you should know, and then you just get rid of the dart. You should perceive the painful feeling as a dart, and you should perceive the neutral feelings as impermanent. This is from one of the sutra. You can try to find, maybe called the dart, I think. So to answer your question, how do we avoid clinging to happiness and sorrow apart from noting anicca? I think you should try to noting anicca, dukkha, and then anatta. It's good for the happiness to arise, right? It's good for everyone. It's good to have the loving kindness. It's good to have compassion, but eventually you have to know that everything is impermanent. Be in the moment, in the present moment, and cherish the moment, but not cling to it. It's good for the happy feelings to arise. It's good for the loving kindness and compassion, but you have to know that if you cling to anything, it's gonna be the cause of suffering. So cherish the moment, but try to not cling to it. I don't know that I answered the question or not, but what do you think, Ayya Brahmavara?
I think you totally answered the question, Ayya. Thank you so much. I mean, yes, to bring in not just the anicca characteristic, but the anatta dukkha. So seeing the unsatisfactoriness, seeing the impersonal nature. These three ways, yes. Anicca being one very significant, important way for us to appreciate reality, but also the other two can be very helpful. Thank you, Ayya. And we have another question, which is a really good one coming up. Thank you so much for this. Hayang, again, brilliant question. Is the natural state of the mind neither happiness nor unhappiness? Ayya.
For me, I said it's neither happiness or unhappiness. It's just the equanimity, the state of mind, right? Think of it as the old clock, the old clock that has the hand like this, right?
Pendulum, like a pendulum.
Yes. The normal state of mind is just the equanimity. But when you feel pleasant, then lobha, right? When you feel unpleasant, then tosa. So normally the mind is gonna be like this, but it's sway because of the lobha and tosa, because of ignorance. So the word that the Buddha said, even the neutral feeling you should perceive as anicca or temporary, because it's gonna last like this forever. It's gonna sway because of lobha or tosa. Lobha or tosa, we just like this. So yeah, the natural state of mind is neither happiness nor or unhappiness.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ayya. Yes, it's greed, or it's wanting something, going this way, not wanting something, going that way, like aversion or hatred, wanting, not wanting, wanting, not wanting, occasionally resting in the middle. It's a beautiful simile for us that Ayya's given us, isn't it? The simile of the pendulum. That's just how it is. And it's constantly moving, constantly swinging. And when there's a happy swing, it's swinging in the direction of happiness, for instance, we can say also, or swinging in the direction of unhappiness. It's the same kind of movement. Because with desire and getting what we want, happy for a while, boom, and then down it comes, back into neutral and over to unhappiness when we don't get what we want. And who wants to be caught up in that? We want to be able to be free from that cycle. And these teachings are really pointing the way for us, aren't they, Ayya? And encouraging us to investigate the experience that's being had, investigate it, and come to understand the nature of reality. And this gives the doorway to freedom. And we have I clicked on this actually by mistake, but how perfect, because we have another comment from Egod. Thank you, Egod. Ajahn Chah has recommended to just say so as a shortcut from the whole anicca dukkha anatta reflection. I find it quite useful as a summary, a quick way to remind that things are transient. Any comments are on this excellent piece of advice to bear in mind the question so in reference to all our experience.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yes. It's a very nice suggestion. It reminds me, Ayya Khemavamsi, of another teaching that I've been given in the past, which is just to have a question mark. A question mark in the mind, a questioning. Is it really like that? Is that really it? Is this really so? As a way of helping us, to sort of move through the experience, not to get caught up in our experience. You could say it's an aid to both of these, both so. Is it so? Is it really so? Question mark. Just help us to move through and not get attached, and help us to let go.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any other helpful kind of koans, or do you have any other ways yourself of kind of encouraging yourself in the practice, Ayya, in this kind of way?
The way to encourage myself in the practice, like in Vedana, right? For me personally, I like to practice Vedana because it's, a lot of Vedanas going on. I love to use the Four Noble Truths in daily life. I think this is like to wrap up everything. Like 2 or 3 days ago, I experienced like the hand like stiff. It cannot move. Maybe just like wrong movement, and then it's just like it cannot bend. So now I know that okay, suffering arise. Now I gotta be in big trouble because it happened in the middle of the night and no one can help me, and it's just so painful because I cannot move and I cannot sleep. I could not sleep. It was too painful. So I have to think of the Four Noble Truths. Okay, now suffering arise. Suffering. The cause of suffering because I try to move my hand, but maybe wrong movement. So now it got stuck, and you cannot, like move like this. No, you cannot do like this. Just got stuck. So now the cause. Now I know the cause. The end of suffering. Now I know it's gonna end. It should end. But how? Now I have to know how to solve this problem. So I think, or maybe tomorrow I can call someone to help me, try to do with the muscle thing or something like that. But then I remembered she said she cannot give the massage or anything like that. So I think every possibility, anything like, okay, no one can help me. And I have to cure this now. Otherwise I cannot sleep. Gonna be too painful. So now I know that, okay, when you hurt, then the muscle stress. So try to calm down the muscle. First, calm down the muscle. Now relax. You have to relax. And then I think when the elbow or the knee relocate, right? Then you have to do it fast. You hurt so much just one time, but it's gonna help. So I think of that. So I try to push my hand as hard as I can, try to straight. It was so painful. but I did like 3 times. So now my hand, my arm is straight, but it's take like 3 days and still haven't recovered because maybe did the wrong method. But now I know that, okay, when the suffering arrives, when the painful feeling arrives, then you know that, oh, they're gonna be, you just don't stuck in that painful feeling. Think of it as a dart. Try to find the cause and then try to, like solve the problems, face the problems, and then solve the problems, because you cannot find a cure to your sickness if you don't accept that you are sick, right? When you accept that you are sick, then you try to find the help from someone else. I can use the hand like this because I try to cure that time, because I know if like let it sit for maybe like 5 hours, gonna stiff because I have the rheumatoid arthritis, so it's gonna stiff like very fast. So yeah, to summarize everything, it's good to learn about the suffering because we all live with the suffering, right? But to know the root, to know the cause, to know the cessation, to know how to handle with the feelings, and to be able to use the Four Noble Truths in, in handling that feeling is the thing that I would love to give to all of you today, to maybe as a reflection, maybe like, oh, now I can use the Four Noble Truths in daily life. Just please use the Four Noble Truths in daily life. It's very beneficial. Yes.
So, dear friends, we've come to an end of this session. What a wonderful teaching for our day, for our week, for our year, for our entire life. Thank you so much, Ayya. Let's all conclude with 3 sadhus of gratitude to Ayya Khemavamsi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We have lots of lovely comments from people. Thank you for your appreciation for Ayya's teaching. Wonderful talk, says Pamela. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're going to see Ayya. Excuse me, we're going to see Ayya Khemavamsi next week. Again at the usual time. And meantime, Ayya, wishing you the best of health. May the health be good for you, as good as can be. Lots of metta from all of us. Yeah, for your. Yay. Please hang on for a moment, Ayya. We can have a little chat, you and I.
Yes.
And thanks everyone for being with us. Big appreciation. We have also tomorrow morning, Ayya Soma is going to be giving a teaching at this time tomorrow morning. And then we have monk chat tomorrow evening with Ayya Soma and also myself. So see you later. Have a good day, everyone. And a good night for those in other places.
Thank you.